Greetings everyone. In this video I want to talk about a searching question for you. How much do you allow those around you to affect or influence your choices?
Greetings! This infinite source truth is made possible by the generous contributions and support of viewers like you. Please consider making a contribution now. Thank you.
All right, it's always a choice to allow others to affect or influence you. That's your choice. And those choices all lead to differing types of experiences. And that's your choice. But what you need to be aware of is simply how much you are allowing others to influence or control your choices and even what you like versus what you don't like, and why that is. This is a searching of your own mind to realize when choices that you're making are choices based on other people's desires for you versus your own personal desires. In other words, putting your desires as a backseat to someone else's. All right. It's neither right or wrong. It is a choice that you're making, and that's totally up to you. But you need to recognize and realize that it's happening, and not simply, you need to make an informed choice and decision and not simply do it because that's what you've always done before. I'm going to give you some scenarios. You get a job offer. Now, whether you're married or single, you get a job offer and it's an amazing job offer and it's your dream job, but it requires you to move to another state. And you take into consideration your aging parents or your spouse or your family because you have children who are in school. That becomes an effect. Okay, it affects your choice. Now, if it were you alone and there was no one else to consider, would you go for the job or not? That's the first place to start. Would you, not taking anyone else into consideration, would you move and take the job? Now, I know that's pretty simple because there's a lot more to it than that. But because you have a spouse who is well-rooted in their job and they don't want to leave, you say no to that job because of other people in your life not being flexible to a move that you have been wanting for so long. Now, a couple of things can happen in that case. There could be a dissolving of a relationship. Or you stay where you are and look for that dream job where you're at. This is what I mean by those around you affecting and influencing your choices and your decisions. If the decision were left to you alone, is that what you would want to do? Would you do it? But then you start taking into consideration your ailing family members, or you're so connected to your parents that you can't be too far away from them because you're concerned about them. You have children or grandchildren, and you couldn't stand the idea of being far away from them and not having a daily, weekly, monthly relationship with them. Well, there's the internet now, and most families are so busy that they don't have much time for each other anyway. But all of these choices, you're factoring in all of these things, but it doesn't matter what your choice is, all right? Because that's your choice and it's your game and it's your experience, and your choices determine your experience within the game. You just need to be aware of how other people influence and manipulate your choices. If you as a young adult have a parent and they say, well, they'll pay for college for you, but only if you go for this certain degree, whatever it is that they want you to be. All right? They'll support you in that. Well, that's their choice. But it's your choice whether that's what you really want to do and if you want to accept that support. And is it going to be without expectations from you, or will there be expectations tied to it? You see, every choice that you make affects your game experience. Now, if you don't do what your parents want you to do, are they going to cut you out of their will? Does that affect you and your choices because, you might not inherit something? Now, if that's the case, then I need you to directly look at your choice there. They've worked and earned that money through their life, and it's their money to do with as they see fit. Now, are you going to be manipulated by the thought of gaining a monetary amount when your parents die? And so therefore you're going to live your life in a certain way so that you can have access to that which may or may not be there when they die? Or are you going to live your life? Are you making choices based on what you think you will gain or get out of it in the future? Are you friends with people simply because of their position and you think that you can tap into that and that it will benefit you? Is that your reasoning behind it? The first thing is to be honest with yourself and to know what motivates you, what your motivations are when you make choices and when you make decisions. Sometimes decisions and choices come with some pain because you choose the freedom to be yourself, and others may not be able to accept your choice that you make. But you have to be okay and aware that the choices that you make are yours to make. And you have to know that those choices, how those choices are arrived at. Are they based on someone else's opinions or thoughts of you? Or are they based on what you truly, genuinely want and desire to experience and create and manifest in your game? Now, do you choose your clothes based on somebody else's opinion of how you should dress? Do you choose your makeup and hair and jewelry because of somebody else's taste and how they want you to look? Not being allowed to be yourself, that's a choice you're making. You could be in a very unhealthy relationship and it's fear that keeps you there. First of all, that is a lie that you're telling yourself because you can change anything in your experience. Doesn't mean it's going to be an easy change, but you can change things for the better. You know, when you have children, you can't just up and go to the store and leave them at home like you could a puppy dog or whatever. When you have children, now you have responsibilities. You've made that choice. And if they're living in your home, well, then you're responsible for them. And that's a choice. That's a choice that you have made. All of these things are choices. And here's another thing. Do you judge people for their choices? Their choices are their choices. It's their lives to live. Do you judge them because they left their spouse and their kids? Do you judge them because they're not taking the responsibility for something that you feel like they ought to? Do you judge them because of the way they dress? Or do you judge them because of their habits or whatever? And they're not even living in your house, but you're judging them. Well, judging is a lower frequency activity and mindset. What does their lives and their choices have to do with you unless it directly affects you in your household under your roof or directly affects you in your work at your job? And then you're being paid to do a job, and then in those cases you're paid to take orders from whoever your boss is. But the point here is you made the decision to work there. So by that choice now, there are parameters that you have to work under. But the whole point here is being aware of why you are making the choices that you are making, and not simply doing and making the choices blindly as a reaction or because somebody else really wants you to do this. I mean, you go to a sports game and it's really not what you want to be doing, but you're there because somebody else drug you there. You're not enjoying it. Your mind isn't even there. You're not paying attention just because somebody wants you with them by their side. Or you go shopping when that's the last place in the world that you would want to be, but you go to make that person happy, but it gives you no joy. And are you regretting it every moment that you're there? Or are you choosing to enjoy the experience? Now, those are choices that you have to make in your own mindset. You just need to be aware of what motivates you and why you do the things that you do. And if you don't want to go somewhere, why don't you explain why you don't want to go somewhere? Or you don't even have to explain why. You can just say no. You can just say yes, you can say no. Usually the problems that we have in saying no to people is we're afraid of what they're going to think or feel, or if they're going to be offended, or we care what they think or how they're going to be affected by that answer. And sometimes we need to just get over that and just say no. These are all choices, and what I'm trying to get at here most importantly is choices are choices. No right, no wrong. It doesn't matter. It's your game experience, and your choices affect your experience within the game. It helps you to choose the most beneficial choices for you in your game, but they're all choices that you alone get to make in your game experience. What you need to be aware of is that your choices, what mindset, why you are making the choices that you're making. Are others impacting and affecting that choice, or is it truly your own personal joy or delight, or that you're making that decision from? Or are you being affected by caring too much about what others think or how they may react to you being you? Just know it. Know why you're doing what you're doing, making the choices that you're making. Awareness. Being self-aware. It can get quite overwhelming sometimes when you realize that choices you are making really are not based upon your true self or your desires or who you really are as a source player. And you need to wake up to what has been motivating you. Now, if you find the work that I've done in the Matrix and the information that I'm sharing to be of benefit to you, then it benefits you to say thank you with a gift via PayPal. The link is in the description box below. Abundance, health, and prosperity to you.